Welcome to the Raising Confident Girls podcast, your guide to raising strong, confident daughters. I'm Melissa Jones, the founder of Girls Positivity Club and a teacher for over 20 years. In a world where girls often feel overwhelmed, anxious, and confused, this podcast is your go-to space. As caregivers, we navigate challenges together. I founded Girls Positivity Club to provide a place where you belong and get the tools to face today's hurdles. Consider this your regular check-in with a trusted friend, offering insights and practical tips for meaningful conversations. I'm here to help you feel confident on this journey of raising a generation of empowered girls. Let's dive in and raise those confident girls together. Hey everybody, it's Melissa and welcome back to Raising Confident Girls. Today we're going to talk about one of those moments that can catch you off guard. Your daughter says something like, "This is your fault. You made me go. You don't understand." Maybe it's after school, after a birthday party, after something she didn't want to go to in the first place, but you thought it would be good for her to go and she would have a good time and it would turn out better than she expects. And it lands fast. And in that moment, you can feel your reaction start to come up before you even have time to think it through. Because part of you is thinking, well, that's not fair. I was just trying to help. That's not even what happened. And your instinct is to respond to that, to correct it, to explain it, to defend yourself. Because when you're trying hard to help your daughter and suddenly it feels like you're getting blamed instead, it can feel really personal. And when you love your daughter deeply, and I know you do, and you're trying hard to help, being blamed can hit a part of you that already wonders if you're doing enough. But here's what's important to understand in that moment. When your daughter blames you, she's usually not trying to accurately explain what happened. She's trying to make sense of something that didn't feel good. And because you were part of the situation, whether you suggested it, encouraged it, or told her to go, told her it would be okay, told her it would be better than she expects, you become the easiest place for that feeling to land. You're the one she comes back to when it doesn't go the way she expected. Not because you caused it, but because you're the safest place for her to direct it. And I know for me as a parent, it can feel so discouraging when they do this because you're like, I had her best intention at heart. I didn't know that was going to happen. I really did think it was going to go better than she expected, or I really did think she would like the thing. And you're just trying to help her branch out and try new things and stretch out of her comfort level in a good way. And you think she'll get in the car or when she comes home, however that looks for you, and be like excited or thank you, Mom, so much for recommending me doing that. And then it is the complete opposite. And so this can show up differently depending on her age. A younger girl might say it more directly. You made me do it. An older girl might say, you just don't get it. Or you shouldn't have told me to go. But underneath both of those is usually some version of that didn't feel good for me. And it doesn't always mean that the thing was a bad thing. And sometimes it does take more than once for her to experience something. But in that moment, it's like the opposite thing happens that you expect from her, and it can feel just really upsetting. And this is why defensiveness escalates it. Because I know I felt defensive in that moment, like, wait a minute, I'm the parent and I'm trying to do something nice for you. And like, I have your best intention at heart. And it can feel like, wait, I shouldn't be the one who's being blamed for this. And it can make you just trigger that defensive feeling. And this is when it can get really tricky, because when something feels unfair, our brain goes straight into correcting mode. We want to explain what actually happened. We want to point out what she's missing. We want to make it make sense. But in that moment, she's not listening for accuracy. She's reacting from emotion. She's trying to be understood. So when we respond with logic, it can feel to her like we're dismissing what it felt like. And that's when it starts to escalate. Not because she wants to argue, but because she feels like she's not being heard. And you might feel like maybe she's being ungrateful, or maybe she is overreacting or having this big emotion you don't understand. And in all of this happening, it doesn't mean that your relationship is damaged. It means emotions are leading the moment, probably in both cases, in hers and yours. And if you feel that reaction coming up, even just taking a second, which I know is so hard, to pause before you respond can change the entire direction of the moment. So here's the shift. Instead of focusing on whether what she said is accurate, the goal in that moment is to shift your first response from correcting, even though it is the first instinct, because we know that that couldn't be the case. Like, we have to figure out a way to correct it. But going from that correction to understanding, that's the shift. Not because the facts don't matter, but because they don't matter first. What matters first is helping her feel like what she experienced makes sense, even if we don't understand it. And this is where small shifts in your response can completely change the direction of the moment. Instead of, that's not what happened, or that's not what I was trying to do, you might say, I get that that didn't feel good for you. Or you're really frustrated about that. Or even, I can see why that upset you. Even if we don't agree, or even if we don't think that they may be thinking clearly about it, they need to feel understood first. Because what that does is meet her where she is, without agreeing with everything she said. You're not saying she's right about everything. You're showing her you understand how it felt. And you might not get much back right away, but you'll feel the shift. Because here's what you're really doing. In that moment, you are helping her separate two things that feel tangled together: the situation itself and how it felt to her. Because when those stay tangled, it comes out as blame. But when she feels understood, it creates just enough space for her to start seeing the situation more clearly. It slows the moment down. And that's usually when the conversation softens. Not because you corrected her, but because she no longer feels like she has to defend her experience. So think about any time that you've, because I know I've done this, been defensive and corrected it and said that's not what my intention was, and it turns into this argument. And then it gets blown way up and you're like, we didn't even get to have a calm conversation. I didn't even get to understand why exactly, or, what even happened. And the part that can feel really hard is that you might still, even after letting her talk about it first, feel misunderstood. You might still feel like, but that's not what I meant by having you do this thing. And that's real. And that's often the part that makes this moment hard to stay steady in. But if you respond to her feeling first, it helps the moment move forward. And that doesn't mean that you don't ever tell like your reasoning behind it. But until she is able to settle and be able to hear you after she's been able to talk about what happened, later is when that can come in. So the next time your daughter says something that feels unfair or blames you for something that didn't go the way she hoped, you don't have to agree. And you don't have to convince her to think the way you do either. And you don't even have to defend yourself right away or feel like that you should. You can slow it down and respond to what's underneath it. So the next time it happens, instead of responding to what she said, respond to what she felt, even if you don't totally understand it. Because when she feels understood, she's much more open to hearing your side later. And a lot of the time, that softer version of her comes back once the emotion settles. And that's what keeps the moment from turning into a back and forth. You don't have to get it perfect. You just have to shift the first response. And that can change the entire moment. Thank you for being here today. I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining another empowering episode of the Raising Confident Girls podcast. Share today's insights with caregivers and friends, building beautiful relationships with strong girls. Hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. We're not just a podcast, we're a community. Follow Girls Positivity Club on social media for more empowering content on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. This podcast empowers you, supporting incredible girls. Let's create strong, beautiful relationships with the girls in our lives. I appreciate you listening today. Stay confident, stay connected. Until next time, keep raising those confident girls. You've got this.